Welcome back to Computer Organization course. Today we will start Module 5 Basic Processing Unit. This module completely concentrates on the basic things of how an instruction gets executed in a processor, the various steps of the instruction and how different bus organizations affect the instruction execution. Also this module includes the pipeline, which makes an efficient way for executing instruction. These are the topics we are covering in today's video, where we will study some fundamental concepts which we require to understand this module, as well as we'll study, we'll divide the video into two different parts. One is a single bus organization where all internal components of a processor are connected using a single bus, and we'll study how an instruction gets executed. And we'll study multiple bus organization where we have more than one bus to connect multiple components of a processor, and we'll study how instruction gets executed efficiently there when compared to single bus organization. So let us start with some fundamental concepts. These are the fundamental concepts we have already studied in module 1, where we introduced our computer organization course. What are the various registers are connected with the processor and how they play their role in execution of instruction. So for example, program counter, which holds address of the next instruction that has to be executed. Instruction register, its responsibility is to store the instruction currently being executed, and through instruction register, decoder circuit reads the instruction and decodes and understands what it has to execute. Similarly, various registers like MAR, MDR, all these registers are very important to fetch an instruction, execute it. Here, while executing an instruction, so when we write this type of equations, that means say PC is a register which is having a particular number. Okay, that is nothing but actually address. But for when we store it in a PC, it is just a number. Okay, so when I mention using a square bracket, that means I am considering whatever the number is there in the PC as an address. And when I write one more square bracket around it, so that means I am talking about the data referred by that address. So that is the meaning of this equation. That means whatever we have to store in the instruction register is nothing but data present at the address which is stored in the PC. Similarly, we know that every time we execute one instruction or we fetch an instruction using PC address, then immediately we have to update PC so that it points to the next instruction to be executed. So we have to add whatever the address is there in the PC by 4. That is because throughout this syllabus we have assumed that our processor is 32-bit. 32-bit processor means where every instruction is a 32-bit in size. So if the instruction is a 32-bit size, then it consumes 4 addresses in order to store in the memory. So when you fetch pointer PC, program counter holds the address of an one instruction, then the address of the next instruction is nothing but PC plus 4, because all 4 bytes are consumed by the current instruction in the memory. That's why we have assumed it as a 32-bit instructions or 32-bit processor. So these are the basic fundamental concepts we know already. We have gone through in module 1. Okay, so let us start with the actual concepts of this syllabus, how instruction gets executed in single bus organization. Single bus organization. So we know what is a bus. So bus is a electrical or physical path which is transfers electric signals from one part to another part, source or destination. So that is nothing but we can transfer data, right? Any kind of data, any kind of instruction or any kind of signal through bus. And there will be various components inside a processor like registers, like arithmetic and logical unit, okay, like decoders, instruction decoders. So all these different registers, ALU, decoders, they need to communicate, they need to send data from source to destination. That time we need a bus. Now in single bus organization there will be only one bus connected to all the components of inside a processor. So now what happens is any two pair of components can communicate at a time and others has to wait. So this is a restriction. So let us have a look at how single bus organization is done. So this is the image you can see here. So this is a single bus here. Okay, this is a single bus, that arrow mark on either end, it indicates that this bus is bidirectional. Okay, from top to bottom or bottom to top you can send data in any direction. And you can see our PC, MAR, MDR, ALU, all these registers R0 to RN1 minus, temporary register, IR instruction register, decoder circuit, everything is connected to this single bus, which is like a backbone. You can also see the connections between any register and a bus, that the small lines we have drawn between for example a PC register and the bus, those lines are so bidirectional, means PC can send its data on the bus or PC can receive data from the bus. Okay, so this is the how the single bus architecture is implemented in your processor to connect internal components of a processor. That's why this bus is called internal bus. There is another bus called external bus, which allows processor to communicate with the memory, that we will study in later parts. So this is the internal bus, where this is all these parts whatever you see here, different registers or ALU, everything is inside the processor. Now ALU has a special connection to the bus. Okay, you can look at this ALU here. Now so this is a complete ALU part here. Okay, I will explain how ALU is in a special way it is connected to the bus in the later part, where we will study how arithmetical instructions gets executed. So let us not mess up everything. So now we'll keep that part apart. Here we'll study how single bus is connected to all the registers first. So look at this diagram. Here there is a one thing you can make out, that these connections, bus to any register, you take any bus to any register connections, these are bidirectional connections. PC can send the data or place data on the bus, or PC can receive data from the bus. Okay, that's the thing. So you look at MAR, MDR or any registers R0 to RN-1. So now there is an issue with this connection actually. So whatever you are seeing here is not actual connections. We have simplified that connection in order to write down it very easily. So what is the problem with the actual connection is here. See, imagine there is a data in the PC. The red color is the content, PC content. Now we know that bus and all electric connections are like a water channel. So when you place a electric data, okay, or electric signal on one end, it immediately flow to all the connections, right? So we cannot restrict it. That is how it works. So when you place something on the bus, that signal immediately starts flowing throughout the bus. Okay, and all the connections which are connected to either side of the bus, okay, so the electric signal will go to every connect paths. So now what happens is, so imagine this is a PC here. Now if I place PC content on the bus, okay, I will place PC content on the bus, so immediately entire bus, that whatever the data is there, it will appear on the entire bus as well as to all the connections. Now what happens is these all connections are connected to the registers, so all register will automatically filled with the content placed by the PC. So this is what should not happen. So if a register data is placed on the bus, it should not fill with all the registers. So what happens, all register contents are gone, the new data which is placed will be get stored in the register. So how to avoid this? So we can avoid this. So how to avoid the data or electric signal directly running into every register? That is very simple. We have to place a switch. we have to place a switch in between at this particular point. I can show here for this register. Here we have to place a switch. I can draw that switch if you want here, a small switch here, so that all register will have a switch in between register and bus, and all switches will initially turned off. So whenever a register places data on a bus, it will not enter any register because all the switches are turned off. And which register want that data inside, that register will turn it on. So we'll see in our next slide how exactly that switches works here. So this is how the actual diagram. I have removed ALU and all those things, but for every register it works just like this. Okay. Here you can see this is the actual connections of single bus architecture with every register or every component. Like if there is a R0 register here and there is some content, I have indicated using red color, that content is already electric signal reaches the switch. This R0 out is a switch. Now in initial previous diagram there was only one bidirectional connection between R0 and a bus. Any register and a bus, there was one line which was bidirectional. We were showing it in that way because to reduce the complexity of the diagram in order to write in the exam. But this is how it exactly look like, where there are two different connections. One is the outgoing connection from the register to the bus and one is the incoming connection to the register. Okay, and both the connections have their own switches. So the name of those switches or signal is very interesting. See, for R0 register, there is a switch called R0 out here. That's signal. It's a signal. If you make R0 out equal to 1, then this switch gets turned on. Means the connection completes and data will flow to the bus. If you make R0 out equal to 0, the connection is cut off. So there will be no electric signal transfer or indirectly data transfer between register and bus. Similarly, there is a R0 in switch. So when you make R0 in equal to 1, the data from the bus enters the R0. When you make R0 in equal to 0, that connection is cut off. So data cannot enter R0 forcefully. So because data is the electric signal, it simply get transmitted to end, every end. So that's why we have a switch here. And now what exactly this switch is? See, look at those switches. There are three connections in this switch, right? One connection connects to the register, another connection connects to the bus, and to handle whether that switch is turned on or turned off, we have one more connection like R0 out or R0 in, right? This is called tri-stator buffer. This is not actually a switch, it is called tri-state buffer, which I have explained already in my beginning videos somewhere. Just go through it, or if you didn't find that video, please Google it, what is tri-state buffer and how using one input we can connect two other inputs. So here one input is, if you name, I'll tell you, say this is, okay, I will say this is X, okay, register to the R0 out transistor switch, that connection is X. Now the output connection to the bus is Y, and the switch connection, whatever I call R0 out, it is Z. Okay, now if Z is equal to 1, then Y becomes X. This is called tri-state buffer. Means whatever the signal is there at the end of the X, if you make Z equal to 1, immediately that will be get connected to the Y and it will flow, that electric signal or data will flow to the Y, and from Y it will flow to the bus. So this is called a tri-state buffer. And so here Z is nothing but R0 out signal, okay, or it is R0 in signal. So every register, you take any register here, okay, R1 register, so R1 out, R in, R1 in. So you have to turn it on, okay. So now let us try to turn on R0 out. So when I make R0 out equal to 1, the content, right, connection gets, the two ends get connected when I make R0 out equal to 1, and content from R0 will flow to the bus. So once it appears on the bus, immediately it will appear on all over the bus, and once it appears on the all over the bus, immediately it will float on every end. So look at this, it will go to all in connections, R3 in, R0 in, R1 in, okay. It won't flow here in out connection because the connections where R1 out, R3 out, these are single direction lines, okay. So R1 out to bus we can send the signal, but from bus to R1 out we cannot send the signal. These are bidirectional. Whatever the switches are there with out name, okay, these are only from switch to bus we can send the transaction. But in any day, wherever we have in R0 in, R3 in, R1 in, there it is also single directional, but direction is from bus to switch. So that's why you can see wherever there is a in switch, input switch, all way the electric signal or data is reached the switch. But since all the switches are turned off, it will never enter any register. Fine. Now I want that data which is from R0, I want that data to be here in R1. Okay. So what I have to make? I have to make R1 in equal to 1. R1 in equal to 1. So when I make R1 in equal to 1, that connection gets transmitted, data will go to enter the R1 register, okay, and also it enters R1 out. But since R1 out is turned off, the data will never come back to the bus, but register is filled with the data present in the bus. So this is how register transfer works, okay. So our register, which registers data has to be placed on the bus, initially we make its out switch equal to 1, R0 out, R3 out, whatever. Then immediately we will make in switch of another register as 1, so that it enters that particular register. All other register switches are turned off, so no data enters into it. But this diagram, it becomes very complex to write all the switches and input connection, output connection separately for all the components. So that's why we have simple drawn architecture of single bus, where we indicate a single bidirectional line, but this is how it works. Now let us see an example of an instruction where we transfer register content from one register to another register, and what are the steps. Okay. So here move R0, R1. This is the instruction which is being executed. Okay. Now what are the steps to execute it according to the single bus architecture? See, I have to transfer data from R0 and to R1. So I have to initially make R0 out equal to 1, correct? No? So this is how the switch I have turned on, R0 out signal equal to 1. So whatever the content is R0 will be placed on the bus and available at every end of the bus. Now it has reached every end of every register. So I have to place it in R1 here, correct? No. So I have to make R1 in equal to 1. So that's how it works. So it will enter data whatever is there in the bus into R1 register. So in a single step, right, I can execute this. Or alternatively we write like this, now equal to 1 now, instead of writing that. So if I write simply R0 out, that means it is R0 out equal to 1. When I write R1 in, it means R1 in equal to 1. So we don't write in the as written in the first sentence, we write that alternative form. This is how we write it. Okay. Now what is this step 1? So this is interesting. You have gone through the performance equation, maybe the T is equal to Ns by R, N into S by R. So you know that T is the time taken by a program to execute in the processor. R is the clock rate, 1 by cycle, R is the clock rate. N is the number of the instruction present in the program, and what is the S? S is the number of steps required to execute each instruction. So here for this instruction move R0, R1, only one step is enough. You have to R0 out we have to make equal to 1, then we have to make R1 in. So data from R0 directly flow to R1, and that is how we copy, right. So now is it only one step? No, actually I am telling you the steps after instruction being executed, means being started executing. So see, this instruction will be there in the memory. In order to execute an instruction, we have to fetch that instruction, we have to place it in the instruction register, we have to decode it, then we have to transfer from R0 to R1. We have to understand that instruction. All these steps, initial steps we have skipped just to understand how register data from one place to we can copy into another register. So actually this instruction do not take only one step, it takes multiple steps, that which we will study later. Okay, but this S means number of steps to execute the instruction. Okay. So this is the same diagram which I explained earlier to make you understand how R in R out connections are, switches are there, and how we restrict data which is there on the bus entering into all the registers. Only those registers which can allow it. The switch concept I explained there using some animation. This is the diagram given in your textbook. Here also same concept, you can see there are switches here. So for example, here is a RI register. RI register has a switch called RI in. So if you make RI in equal to 1, bus data whatever is there on the bus will enter the register. And there is again we have RI out. If I make RI out equal to 1, the data from the register will be placed on the bus. Okay. So this is how they are given in the textbook. So to make you understand, I shown in the previous animation. So now we are familiar with how to transfer data or execute an instruction where data from one register has to be transferred to another register. Now let us see one instruction, how an instruction gets executed which has a part of play a role from ALU. When ALU plays a role like arithmetical or logical instructions. What is the purpose of ALU? To execute arithmetical or logical instructions. So let us take one logical or arithmetical instruction and see how ALU makes use of this single bus architecture. Here I told you at the beginning ALU has a special type of connection to the bus, and I also told you that we will study later. So here this is a time where we study it. So before going to how ALU interacts with the bus and performs arithmetical or logical instruction, let us know some basic concepts of ALU. See, ALU do not have any memory. This is very important. ALU cannot store any data. As long as ALU is executing an arithmetical or logical instructions, its operand data must be available to the ALU on its input. ALU has always two inputs, and both the inputs should be there as long as ALU gets arithmetical instruction gets executed. So when I say add two numbers, both the numbers must be there, that electric signal representing both the numbers must be there at the input of the ALU as long as that addition gets executed, because ALU cannot store it and use it later. There is no storage in the ALU. Okay, and there is also a multiplexer connection, that is MUX. Okay, a multiplexer 2:1 multiplexer 2:1 multiplexer connection to the ALU, and we will study why that is required. So let us see the diagram first, how ALU is connected. So this is how ALU is connected, same diagram, single bus architecture diagram. I have cropped it. Okay, I have cropped it little bit because here I emphasize more on ALU connections. Okay, so this is a part where you can see ALU is connected to this bus. Fine. Now there is a special thing here again. So see B input here, you can see the input B here. Okay, so from bus there is a path to the B. Fine. There is no switch for it, there is no gate for it. So you cannot decide whether data which is present on the bus should appear at the input B of the ALU. It automatically appears at the B. Right, whatever the data is placed, it directly the digital signal or electric signal or data, it directly appears on the B. Right, you can see it. One more input is how it is connected. See, from bus it is connected on Y. There is a register called Y. So whatever the data is on bus, we have to let inside the Y. Okay, data will appear in the Y. And there is also a switch here near Y in. Okay, so there is a Y in signal here. So whatever the data is on the bus, you can allow it enter the Y register by making Y in equal to 1. That's very important. There is a switch over here. Okay, but there is no switch here where data directly appears from the bus at the input B. Now, okay. So see here we can use two operands. ALU always requires 2 operand for most of the instructions like arithmetical, any add, subtract, divide, multiplication, and even except not logical instruction, all other instructions require 2 operands. And you can see ALU has 2 operands like A and B, okay, and B is directly connected to the bus. But there is something special. You can see that A is actually a input received from the multiplexer here, and multiplexer is 2:1 multiplexer where input is either constant 4 and the 4 decimal number 4 is a 1 input, or the operand or data of the Y register here. You can see we have to select every time, we have to select, okay, either we have to pass 4 or we have to pass the actual content of the register Y. Now what is this 4 and why we need this multiplexer? That is because, see, we know that every time program counter holds address of the next instruction. So whenever we fetch a next instruction, we have to update program counter by 4. So program counter points to again the next instruction present to be executed. So every time program counter has to be added by 4. So that's why every time generating value 4 by the processor and sending it to the ALU and inform, okay, add this new value to the PC. Instead of that, every time generating value 4 to add to, we have to generate 2 operands, right? When ALU add PC, ALU requests PC plus 4. Both operands should be there. So instead of every time adding 4, generating 4 and passing it through the bus as a one of the operand, they have directly used here constant 4 was the one of the input. So when PC, we are updating PC, then through this multiplexer we select content 4, so that value at the input A will be 4, and we will make PC content PC out. Whenever we make PC out, the content of the PC will flow on the bus and directly appear at the point B, because there is no switch at point B. So PC content whenever we place on the bus directly come to the point B. Now we will ask ALU to add. So what is add? Add 4 to the PC content, and that will be stored in the Z. Always ALU result will be stored in the register called Z, and using Z out here we have again switch over here. Using Z out we can place it on the bus, and again we make PC in. Why? Because whatever the PC plus 4 is added, stored in the Z, it is placed on the bus here, and we will make PC in. PC in means that bus content, that is new PC updated, will be stored to the PC. So this is how it works here. That's why the multiplexer is required. For all other cases, now you want to add or subtract, make any arithmetical operation of any two data or 2 operands. This is not PC plus 4, any 2 operands. You want to add R1 and R2, you want to multiply 2 register contents, whatever. So that time of course we need this Y. Okay. So and how exactly it is done? Suppose imagine I want to add R1 and R2. Okay, R1 and R2. So initially I will make R1 out. When I make R1 out, the content of R1 will be on the bus. Okay, that content directly appears here. Now B is R1 actually, but that R1 also appears here because we'll, right, but there is a switch over here. So we make R1 out and make Y in, and we'll make Y in equal to 1. So what happens? That R1 enters into the Y register, R1 content. Then using select, okay, we make that R1 content appear at A. But we also know R1 is at the point B directly because there is no restriction directly enters here. We don't bother about it. Now once R1 reaches here A, we again make R2 out. Now when I make R2 out, the content of R2 register will be placed on the bus, and that data directly come here. So at point 2 now instead of R1 we can see R2. Okay, and but we don't make here Y in, we always close this. Even though R2 is here, we don't allow it to enter. So now what happens? R2 reaches B, R1 is already reached at A. Now we make add operation, A plus B. So this is how we can use ALU, and it's a special connection through multiplexer and Y and Z registers. We can make any arithmetical operation. So let us see one example where you can understand it very easily. So here are some steps you have to write to execute add R1, R2, R3. Here in this is a 3 instruction I mean 3 operand instruction. So in exam also they will give one instruction and ask you to write the control sequence. In general we call it as steps. You can see here there are 3 steps here, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3, 3 steps. It is basically called as control sequence. In exam they will ask you to write control sequence for an instruction by assuming single bus organization. Okay, that may be a register transfer or that may be ALU operation. Okay, and we will study few more types of instructions, how it gets executed. It is very easy. So you have to concentrate here a little bit more because there are 3 steps. How exactly it becomes 3 steps? If you remember in register transfer we wanted to move R1 content to R2, we return it in a single step actually. Of course there are some previous steps we have to execute, that we will study later. Okay. Now here when they ask you to write the control sequence, these are the called control sequence. All these steps written we call control sequence. So now how exactly add R1, R2, R3 executes? Initially we have to understand here R1 and R2 are the 2 operands we have to add and store the result in R3. So here is my single bus architecture, right? R1, R2, R3 connected. We know that single line I have shown here. These are the 2 different single directional lines, right? One is R1 in, one is R1 out, R2 in, R2 out, R3 in, R3 out. Again Y for Y also here there is Y in. Okay. So this is a case. In Z also we have Z out. Okay, Z out. There is no Z in, only Z out. There is no Y out, only Y in. Okay. So how exactly we have to do? See, to add R1 and R2, we have to bring R1 content and R2 content at the point A and B of the addition circuit. That is nothing but ALU. ALU does the addition operation, right? So how to bring R1 and R2 to the ALU? So initially we will make the R1 out. See here you can see here R1 out. I will mark it if you confusing. Okay. So R1 out. So when I make R1 out, what happens? Content of R1 appears on the bus here, right? This content appears on the entire bus here. You can see, and also it appears here, and also it appears at the B, right? But here also it appears, but everywhere there are switches which do not allow the content to be transferred to any other registers. But what we will make is next is Y in. So what happens when I make Y in, the content comes here and gets stored in the Y register here. Whatever the R1 content was there, it now stored in the Y. Fine. Now we will make R2 out. When I make R2 out, whatever the data was there earlier on the bus gets discarded. Now R2 content will be placed on the bus. Okay. Then when R2 content is placed on the bus here, again R2 appears here, you can see near Y, also R2 appears directly near B. Here B, there also it directly appears when R2 content is placed on the bus. Of course we don't let R2 to be placed in the Y because already Y has R1 content, right? Which that R1 content is already here near the multiplexer. Can you see that? Near the multiplexer here. So R2 is here already reached B. I will write down here R2 is reached B, fine. R1 is in the Y. So using select Y option, select Y. I don't select 4. Select 4, I don't select it because I don't select 4 because I don't have to add PC. I am adding R1 and R2 where R1 is there in the Y register here. So I select Y. Here can you see? See R2 out, right? R2 out, immediately R2 appears near B. Correct no? R2 out ಮಾಡಿದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೆ R2 bus ಮೇಲೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, bus ಇಂದ directly B point ಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Okay. I'll make it little bit clear here. Yes. So when is R2 out, when we make R2 out, directly R2 appear here near the bus B, point B. Already R1 we have let in inside the Y. So after R2 out, here you can see I will make select Y. So select Y, what happens? Whatever the content of R1 is there in the Y register, through multiplexer it appears at the A. So now A is having R1. B is already we have made R2 out. So B is here at the point. Right? R2 out, it will be there as long as bus, right? Another data is placed on the bus. Okay, R2 content will be there on the bus as long as another content is placed on the bus. So now R1 is at A, R2 is at B of the ALU, we will instruct ALU to add. So what happens, ALU adds A and B, that is R1 content and R2 content. R2 content is still there on the bus because we have not placed any other content on the bus. Okay, initially we placed R1 but later we placed R2. So recent content on the bus is R2. So while adding, ALU receive R2 at the B. Okay. So now after adding, ALU directly stores. I told you there is no, right? Okay. Yeah, there was so small miscommunication. It's okay. After adding R1 and R2, I will make Z in. Why? Because Z has a here gate. Okay. So ALU data, whatever the result ALU has after adding R1 and R2 will be placed in the Z. Data is placed on the Z. So that's why I have to let that result to be stored in the Z. Of course, Z has a input gate, Z in. Okay, input switch. Now R1 and R2 has been added and the result is in Z. I have to store that result, of course according to the instruction I have to store that result into R3. So Z is a register, R3 is a register. What you have to make? Z out. Once I make Z out, that result will be placed on the bus and reaches end of every register, but only I will make R3 in switch equal to 1. I will make R3 in. So whatever the data is on the bus, that is nothing but Z content on the bus, it will now enter R3 here, R3 in. So R3 register, let the data in, right, come in to the register. So that this is how we add R1 and R2 through ALU and store it in R3. So this is how we transfer data over a bus to ALU and from result ALU to R3 register. Now of course before these three steps, okay, before these three steps there are few steps we have to execute in order to fetch the instruction, add R1, R2, R3, instruction we have to fetch from the memory. There are some instructions we have to execute that we will study later. Now just imagine instruction is there in instruction register and these are the steps how to execute this. Now you might have a lot of questions here. So these are the three steps. Once instruction is decoded, these are the three steps we have to execute, or we call control sequence. These are the control sequence we have to execute, okay, in order to add R1 and R2 and store it in the R3. That's fine. Now the question is, how exactly I have broken down this into three steps. See, when R1 out, fine, then Y in. You understood this? R1 and Y ಒಳಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತರ್ತೀನಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ one first operand should be in Y, okay, because second operand is directly available at the from the bus to B in ALU. So ಒಂದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಲ್ಲ Y ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Okay. Then why didn't I write here only R2 out? Second step. See, whatever I have written in second step, why didn't I continue as a first step? First step alla continue ಮಾಡಬಹುದಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ. We could have continued. I could have written all 1, 2, 3 steps in a single line. Or see, after here Z in, once I write Z in, why did I write this Z out in next line as a next step? Why I could complete here only, no? So how can I say once the instruction is decoded, add R1, R2, R3 instruction takes 3 steps to complete. How can I say 3 steps? I have randomly broken down the steps into 3. No, I have not randomly broken down this. This is very important and very simple. Okay. Whenever I need to make use of a bus, I will start that as a new step. Okay, just look at this. I will repeat this again. Whenever I need to use a bus to transfer data from one place to another place, I will write it down as a next step. See, when I made R1 out, I let that Y in. Right? I made R1 out because I used the bus. When I made R1 out, I used the bus. Okay, fine? Yes. So that's why I written in one step. Okay, fine. After Y in, I need to use the bus again, this bus again, to copy R2 data on the bus. Are you getting? I am outputting R2 content on the bus. Means I am making use of the bus now. So that's why I have written it is from the second step, R2 out. Okay, R2 out bantu, I will select Y. I am not making use of bus, correct? No, I am not freshly making use of bus. R2 out, the data will be there on the bus. Then I select Y, I instruct add to the algorithm ALU, then I let Z in. You can see all these steps happens without, right, bus communication is not required. Why? Select Y is there between multiplexer. Add is the instruction given to ALU, and Z in, this is a connection between ALU and Z register. No bus is involved. But once result is in Z, now I have to transfer result from Z to R3. Now I have to make use of bus. You are getting it? Now I have to make use of bus. Z into R3, I have to make use of bus. So whenever I have to make use of bus, I will write it in next step. Even after this, if you have not got this concept, I will give a shortcut. That is a very, very bad thing, but still I will tell you a shortcut, very simple. Whenever there is a out signal, you start writing in next step. Whenever you make use of something out, R1 out, R2 out, whatever out andre, we are keeping data on the bus. That means we are making use of the bus. So we write it in a next step. This is the shortest shortcut, and I don't think any other shortcuts are there to break down the steps. Okay, so this is how we write a new steps every time when we make use of a bus or we make use of the out signal. Okay, and based on this we will calculate number of steps required to execute an instruction here. But this is 3 steps, right? To execute add R1, R2, R3, we have written 3 steps for a single bus, because there was only single bus. We have written this has taken 3 steps. Okay, S equal to T. But there are few more steps I told to in order to fetch the instruction. All the rest we will study later. This is only, we are imagining that instruction is there already in the instruction register and we have decoded it. After that, how many steps we require in a single bus? We require 3 steps to here continue this. So this is about how arithmetical operations are done. So similarly, we will execute subtraction, division, or any arithmetical logical instruction. So now let us see about the instruction which makes how to fetch a data, a word from the memory. We know what is word. Word is the maximum size of data that a single we can transfer through the bus in a single time. So that is the size of the bus. So that's called word. So if the single bus size is 32 bit, we can fetch or transfer 32 bit of data at a time. So that's called word, right? So how to fetch a word from the memory? Here there is one interesting concept you can see here. Here something is called internal bus. What is the internal bus? Internal bus is the bus I was talking about from the beginning of this video. That is the single bus architecture. When I say it is an internal bus, it connects all the internal components of your processor like registers, ALU, right? That is how that's called internal bus. Now what is the external bus here? There is a memory bus called external bus. That bus connects memory and processor. Memory and processor. It's very interesting, right? Now that external bus is not directly connected to the processor, but a processor in the sense, what is a processor? Processor is nothing but including PC, IR, MAR, MDR, ALU, everything is including, we call it as processor. So how memory is connected to the bus, processor using bus? That memory is connected through a bus connected to MAR and MDR register. MAR and MDR register. So let us see that diagram from the first module where we can understand it. Yeah, here. You might have seen this diagram in the first module. See, this is the main memory and we have connected here. So this is a bus MAR and there is one more bus here to connect to MDR. This bus together we call this is a single bus. Okay, here we have shown it as a different bus, but it is a single bus. That is bus is called external bus, where MAR and MDR are connected. But when I say single bus architecture, all this whole video whatever we talked about bus, that is an internal bus. That bus connects this, right? MAR, MDR. Here the bus connects all the components of, right, ALU, MDI, all registers. So whatever is there inside this box, the connection or bus inside this box is called internal bus, right? But the bus which connects MAR and MDR to the memory is called external bus. It is connected in the similar way. See here you can see, again we have, see this is MDR register, we have shown example. MDR to internal bus, we know that there is a switch MDR in and MDR out, like any other register. Similarly, MDR and MAR also connected to the memory bus. Here also they have MDR out and MDR in this side. So not to make confusion, what we have done is MDR out E. I don't know I can whether you can see this or not. There is the image is little bit blurry. This is actually written as MDR out E. MDR out E. What is that MDR out E? That is MDR out switch to the external bus E, to the memory bus towards that side. Okay. So whenever you make MDR out E, this switch gets connected and data from the MDR will placed on the memory bus here. When you simply make MDR out equal to 1, MDR out under this switch here. So MDR data will placed on the internal bus, that single bus we were talking about all this video, throughout this video. If you make MDR in, if you use MDR in, that means whatever the bus data is there on the internal bus will stored in MDR here. And whenever I make MDR in E, this signal MDR in and E means that is a extra switch connected to external bus. So whatever the memory has placed something on the bus, the data placed by the memory on the memory bus, external bus here, MDR in E madidre, that data will come and get placed in the MDR. So this complex situation is there only for MDR and MAR, since they have to communicate with the internal bus of the processor as well as external bus which connects to the memory. So let me be very clear about this signal MDR in E, MDR out E, which are signals to connect with the external memory bus. Now fetching a word from the memory, definitely MAR and MDR involved, you know, because how to fetch a memory data from the memory, first we have to place, we know that, right, these steps we have studied. Whatever the address of the data we want to fetch, keep it in MAR register. Processor through internal bus or processor we have to place address in the MAR first. Okay. Then we have to give read operation, issue read operation. Okay, tell memory that I have placed something in MAR address, go and fetch data from that address and keep it in MDR. Informing that called issuing read operation. When I give read operation, memory comes to know that there is some address placed in the MAR, I have to search that address. So memory fetch that MAR address, go to its place, search that address, and whatever the data is there, it copies that data and places on the bus here, on the bus. So that's why as soon as I give read operation, I have to make MDR in E, this signal, MDR in E, MDR in E equal to 1. So that I have to keep connecting this. Whenever memory places a data on the bus, memory bus or external bus, it should store in the MDR immediately. That's why I make, as soon as read operation is given, I will make MDR in E, MDR in E signal as 1. And I have to wait. Why? Because memory works in a different speed that when compared to the processor. Processor's clock cycle is different, memory clock cycles are different. So that's why processor do not know when memory completes storing data in the MDR. So we will let MDR open, MDR in E, and wait for the data. So we have to wait for MFC signal. MFC signal is given by the memory, that is memory fetch complete. So processor has to wait for the memory fetch complete signal. That means memory data, whatever the requested data is placed on the bus anta artha. Memory bus mele place madideve. That means anyhow we have opened MDR here. Whenever memory places data on the bus, the data will directly forward to MDR and stored. After that we will get MFC signal. We have to wait till for memory fetch complete signal because memory is slower. Processor has to wait for it. Once MDR data is fetched from the memory, whose address is we placed initially in the MAR, its data is now in MDR. We got the data. So place that MDR data. You have to place that MDR data on the internal bus here, right? Using MDR in signal, we have to place it on the internal bus. Okay. From that internal bus, we will store it in any register. R0 antala, we will let the data on the internal bus be stored in any general purpose register, because the MDR will keep utilizing again and again to fetch the data from the memory. So we cannot store the data in the MDR permanently, we will store it in any general purpose register. So fetching a word from the memory is nothing but transferring the address from internal bus here, right? internal bus to memory bus address using MAR, through MAR, right? Through MAR we will transfer that. So here instead of MDR we can imagine MAR. So MAR mukantara internal bus in the external bus we are transferring address. Once the address is available to the memory, it fetches the data, places in the MDR. That is nothing but from the memory bus, whatever the data is there, through MDR it will transfer it to internal bus. So this is called fetch. Okay. So let us see one instruction of fetching a word and how we have written control signals. How many steps it requires? How many steps required to fetch a word from the memory. So this is, we have seen the instruction here. The instruction, we imagine that instruction is already in the instruction register and we have understood the instruction that consider content of R1 register as the address. Fine, correct, no? Consider whatever the value is there in R1 register, that number as the address, and from the memory fetch data from that address and place it in R2. Place it in R2. So address is in R1, and to fetch some data, where should be address? Address should be in MAR, right? Address should be MAR. So initially I will make R1 out. When I make R1 out, whatever the address is there, it will flow in throughout the internal bus. Now I will let that data be placed in the MAR. So I will make immediately MAR in. So R1 out, MAR in. Whatever the content is there in the R1 that considered as the address will be placed in MAR register. Now once the MAR register is placed, as per our right, we will, of course address is in MAR, what next we can do? We will give read instruction. Read anta. So read anta kottu kodle, it will come to know that for memory there is a data in the MAR, address in the MAR, I have to fetch the data. Fine. Once we give read signal, we will immediately make MDR in E. We will immediately make MDR in E. What is that? We will turn on MDR in external bus signal as 1, because we have given read signal. At any time process memory can place data in the external bus, we should let it in store in MDR, correct now? So that's why MDR in E, external bus kade iro ಯಾವ switch ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನ on ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. So that external bus ಮೇಲೆ when memory keeps the data, let it be in the MDR anta. So that we have to write in second step. There is no logic. This is okay. This is a fact. You have to write it in the second step. So whenever you fetch something from the memory, this is will be repeated. Fetching a word from the memory means any instruction you are executing in between. If you need some data, these 3 steps will get executed always. So you have to remember these 3 steps. Once we let MDR in E, we don't know whether data from the memory has transferred to the MDR. We don't know, because memory has its own timings. So we will just then wait for memory fetch complete, WMFC, wait for memory complete, and we'll keep waiting. Second step, that's it. Okay, once we get MFC signal from the memory, that means data is placed on the memory external bus, and anyhow we made MDR in enable, MDR in external as enabled. So data, as soon as memory places data on the memory bus, it will enter MDR register. After that we will get the MFC signal. Once we get the MFC signal, we immediately make MDR out. I told you whenever there is out, we have to write it in the next step. Because data is there in the MDR, we have to make MDR out. This is not MDR out E. MDR out E ಅಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ external bus ಗೆ data ಕಳಿಸೋದಲ್ಲ, data ಬಂತು external bus ಇಂದ, you have to place it in internal bus. So that's why we will make MDR out. As soon as MDR out, we will make any general purpose register as in, so that the data will be placed in any general purpose register. Here he told we have to place it in R2 as per the instruction. So R2 in. These are the 3 steps we gets executed in the processor, right, when processor decodes that instruction. So this instruction is decoded. After that processor executes these 3 steps. That is how execution happens of, right, this instruction. So similarly another step is storing a word into memory. Storing a word into memory. So you have to always remember how to get a data from the memory and how to store a data into the memory. This will be, you may need to insert these 3 steps, okay, in between execution of other steps, other instructions. A instruction in between requires a data from the memory, then these 3 steps you have to insert there. Got it, right? In control sequence. So here let us see the control sequence, the steps for storing a data in the memory. That's very simple. I am storing whatever the content of R2 register is here, right, into a address in the memory where that address is there in the R1 register. Very interesting. So R1 content I have to place it in MAR, right? R2 content I have to place it in MDR, and then I have to issue write command. When I issue write command, MDR will be fetched from the memory and MAR will be fetched from the memory, and memory stores MDR content at MAR number or address. So this is the plan. So how exactly we can write using the steps? See here, address we initially R1 out. R1 out ಮಾಡಿದ ಕೂಡಲೇ the address whatever is there in the R1 will be placed on the single bus or internal bus, and we will make MAR in, right? Because whenever you take MAR here register, there it is connected to internal bus as well as it is connected to external memory bus here. This is internal bus. So R2 R1 register I will keep data on the internal bus, so that address is available throughout the internal bus. I will make MAR in. So address flow inside the MAR in. Similarly, again I will make use of the bus. I told whenever you make use of the internal bus, you have to write it as a next step. So R2 out. What is R2 out? This is the data. R1 out is the address. So I will make MAR in. Next R2 out. This is the data you have to store. So I will make MDR in. It will go inside the MDR, right? So next, okay, I'll just erase this. So now we know that data is in MDR. Here data is in MDR, address is already placed in MAR. We will issue write command. Okay, we will issue write command. Now write command ge MAR ge out illa. MAR out in the sense MAR do not have out to external bus. If this is the MAR here memory bus enide, there is no switch in between this. Whenever from internal bus we make MAR in, there is a switch here, MAR in, that data whatever you enter places in MAR automatically available to the external bus, that is memory bus. So there is no MAR out. But when you give write instruction, processor also requires MDR content, right? Data has to be placed. No, address is directly available on the bus, but data MDR has to be placed. So after giving write instruction, I will make MDR out. See, I am making use of external bus, right? MDR out E. There is also MDR here. Okay. So as soon as write instruction is given, of course MAR is available lively now. On live, MAR is available on the memory bus. So write instruction nanu kotta kodle, the address is read by the memory directly. But data after in next step, I know MAR is written already read by the memory. So I will make MDR in next step. I will make MDR out E. So whatever MDR, there is a switch towards MDR out E towards external bus, memory bus. I will make that switch as 1. So whatever the content is there will be overwritten on the bus. Mostly MAR ittu bus mele, external bus mele, MDR bantu. Okay. So now again MDR, the data also read by the memory. It has read MAR earlier. Now it reads the MDR and places MDR content in MAR address in the memory. And we have to wait till memory fetch complete signal. Okay, fetch complete and the fetch write complete alla onde. Wait for memory fetch complete, because the data has to be placed and memory has to give a signal to the processor that okay, data has been stored. So this is how it works. So always try to understand very clearly how MAR and MDR are connected to the external buses. Okay, only MDR has a switch to the external bus, like MDR in external, MDR out external, MDR in E, MDR out E. But for MAR do not have any switch. Okay, MAR, see, from memory to MAR no signal will come. We know that, right? No data will come to the MAR. MAR, the diagram if you see properly from the first module, you can see that is single directional line from MAR to memory. Okay, only memory reads the MAR. Memory do not store anything in MAR. So that is why memory to MAR there is no switch, any switch. But MDR, memory may read MDR or memory may store in the MDR based on the read or write operation. So on the external bus side, MDR itself has two switches, MDR in external, MDR out external. So that's very, very important. So this is how storing a word. Okay, now let us see the most important part, how to execute a complete instruction. So now if you ask all these instructions we executed till now, we have written control sequences of various steps. Yeah, we executed those instructions, but we imagine that instruction is already in instruction register. But execution of a complete instruction means we have to fetch a instruction from the memory, right? PC holds address of next instruction. Using that address, we have to fetch a instruction, store it in the instruction register, and then execute that instruction. So all these steps including is called complete instruction execution. So let us see this. Here you can see I have written one instruction. This instruction I have to execute. Okay, but to execute this instruction, that instruction has to be fetched from the memory. That steps also I have to write. Those control sequences also I have to write. So we know that PC holds address of the instruction, right? That has to be fetched. So using PC address, see how to fetch an instruction from the memory. We recently studied how to fetch a word from the memory. Yes, just like that, very simple. How to fetch a word from the memory. Similarly, we are fetching instruction. Okay. For memory it doesn't matter whether you are fetching instruction or whether it is fetching data, everything will be there in the memory. No, it requires a address, that's it. So just like we fetch a word from the memory, we fetch an instruction from the memory, but address of the instruction will be in the PC register. Then one more step here not shown in this slide, that after fetching the instruction we have to immediately add PC, right? PC plus 4. Okay, PC plus 4, that it is not shown in this PPT because fetching instruction, while fetching the instruction parallelly we update PC plus 4. I will show you how in next slide. Okay, so once PC is updated and we got instruction, we will place that instruction in instruction register. Okay, so that's how we fetch the instruction. All they have explained in single line. Okay, get the PC value, fetch the instruction, update the PC value, copy the instruction into instruction register. So now we have instruction add R3 R1. Then what you have to do, the R3 we have to treat it as the address as per the instruction, right? Here again we have to fetch data, that is first operand from the memory whose address is in R3. So again how to fetch a word from the memory, same concept, using R3 address fetch the data from the memory. Okay, then we have R1 also. Okay, then we add it and store it back in the R1 itself. Adding, we finally store data back into the R1. So this is how we execute a complete instruction. Let us see the control sequences of it. Here I have given single bus architecture. Here just for, if you don't remember, I suggest you pause video here, just pause it and write down the single bus architecture, because here there is no clarity. I cannot place everything in a single slide. Okay, so single bus architecture if you have written down, then we can easily understand this. This is what we have to do actually. Complete instruction execution means. Okay, so instruction I have written here in the red, you can see. Okay, for convenience purpose here ನಾನು ಬರ್ದೇನೆ ಇನ್ನೊಮ್ಮೆ instruction to remember it. Okay, first we have to fetch this instruction using PC. PC holds the address of next instruction. You can see here first 3 steps, I'll already tell you, first 3 steps is nothing but the same steps we have written while fetching a word from the memory. You can go back and check, but extra things are there that I will tell you. So address of this instruction is in the PC, right? PC holds address of this instruction which you have to fetch now. So we will make PC out. Here PC will be there, here you can see in this diagram. We will make PC out and MAR in. Correct, no? Because address of the next instruction we have to store it in MAR in order to access it. As soon as you keep it in MAR, the data here in MAR, right? There is no switch on the external bus side. Memory bus there is no switch for MAR. That is immediately available on the bus, external bus MAR. Okay. Then I will give read instruction. Then I will give read instruction to the memory. So memory reads address available on the external bus. Okay. And it will go and search for the instruction and store it in the MDR. Till there we have to wait actually. But what we will do is, till there we will update PC by PC plus 4, because it is an independent operation. Adding PC to PC plus 4 and storing it back. So how to do this? See, we initially let a PC out. So the PC out, okay, came inside the MAR and available in the external bus. But also that PC content is available in the right internal bus also. PC out madadaga, whatever PC out now madidvi, a PC address internal bus allo ide ella kade signal, electric signal. PC out, right? That means that PC out is PC content also available at the B operand of the ALU because it's directly connected to the bus. So B alli already PC ide. Did you get this? So after these three step here, three sequence barda ಕೂಡಲೇ read ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ memory ಅದರಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ read ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ. MAR ಸಿಕ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ data address of the instruction you got it, no, it will keep reading. It takes time memory. By that time we know that PC content is there at the B. So I will directly select constant 4 here, right? Select 4. You can see here select 4. Next. So 4 will be available at operand A. Operand A is 4. Operand B is PC, which is already available. So I will give ALU to add as instruction. Add instruction I will give to the ALU, and I will let Z in here because ALU adds PC plus 4, the new instruction address of next instruction now, that is calculated and store. We will let it in the result register Z. So Z in. So now Z has new updated PC. Where we have to store it? We have to store it in PC, right? We have to update the PC with the new PC value. How? Using single bus. So now I have to make again the bus internal bus. So I will write it in second step here. I'll go to the second step. I will make Z out, that is updated PC value. So the updated PC value is now available. 1 minute. Yes. Here. Yes. So updated PC value is now available, that is Z out throughout the bus here, throughout the bus. So that time I will make PC in. So here PC in madadaga new updated PC will be stored in the register. Okay. So this is how it works. And now I will keep opening Y in here. Okay. What enters the Y now? Y, whenever make Y in immediately, what enters Y? Because Z was out. I made PC in, Y in. That means new updated PC value, the new updated PC value is stored in the PC as well as again copied in the Y also, that new updated PC. Why it is required? First of all, but that is required for the branch instructions. I'll explain in next slide how branch instructions are executed. Here it is completely irrelevant, but we have to do it. That's a habit of the processor, okay? Because processor do not know yet which instruction we are fetching, whether we are fetching a add instruction or branch instruction, we don't know. So that's why we copy the new updated PC value to the PC register as well as Y in. Okay. So and we wait for MFC. Why? We have asked MFC read signal. We have given read signal to the memory. Initial step 1 nalli we gave PC address to the MAR and asked memory to read the instruction and give it to processor. So by memory fetch the instruction and stores in the MDR, I have done PC plus 4 operation. That's it, nothing else. Okay. And I will keep waiting for WMFC, wait for memory fetch complete. That means instruction is fetched and stored in the MDR register. Ali MDR in external avela ittu. There was MDR in external. So external bus signals we have avoided here. Okay. To not make it complex, make it simple. Whatever happens on external memory bus, there those switches, MDR related switches, MDR out enable, external, MDR out E, MDR in E, avella now remove madidave. But we will wait for signal. So once memory fetch complete signal available, that means the instruction we fetched using PC address is there in the MDR. So now what I will do is okay, fine. So I will make MDR out. Oh, what is there in MDR actually? So in MDR we have instruction actually, right? We make MDR out. So MDR content will now available throughout the bus here, but instruction has to be stored in the instruction register IR. So I will make IR in here. So that instruction will go to IR and instruction will occupy instruction register. Okay. So this is how it works. So as soon as instruction available in the instruction register, decoder decodes the instruction. Which instruction we fetched? This add, right? data whose address is in R3 with R1 content. Add instruction now fetch ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. Decoder comes to know that we have to make an add operation. And decoder always also understand one operand is R1. Let me erase this so that you can, yeah, here. Decoder here, once this instruction, add instruction is available, this add instruction is available in IR, decoder understands it's addition. And decoder also comes to know that first operand is from the memory. First operand is there in the memory whose address is in R3. So what you have to do, again fetch a word from the memory. And then one more operand is R1. And decoder also comes to know that total after ALU operation of addition, result also must be stored in R1. Fine. So how to fetch a word from the memory? Its address is in R3. So R3 out. See out. See, I am making use of internal bus. So when I make R3 out, this is gone. Now R3 content here R3 register is anta anಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. R3 content will be available on the bus. R3 out. That is the address I have to fetch, right? So I will make MAR in here, MAR in. So as soon as MAR in is nothing but R3 content will directly go to MAR. That is address, whatever number is there in R3 will be in MAR and it is available to the external bus. So what I have to do then? I have to ask read, I have to give read signal. Same thing, fetching a word, whether your instruction of data, fetching a word from the memory. Read, right? So it some time the memory takes to read. By that time I can also, we can do one more thing parallelly. What is that? I will bring R1 to the ALU because I need here, you can see another operand is R1. So what I will do is I'll remove this. Okay, we have given read signal, memory is trying to fetch content whose address is in R3, right? That's it's trying to fetch, we have given read signal. So parallelly, before we get memory fetch complete, before that we will simply make R1 out. I have written one more step. Why? Because R1 out we are using here, right? R1 content anna bus mele idtave, we are place it on the bus R1 out and Y in, right? That R1 we will let it in the Y in. So Y in, now Y has R1. Y has R1, but we also need this first operand from the memory. So now we will wait for the memory to complete. We have given read instruction, we will wait it to complete. Get the data from that address and store it in the MDR, right? So once memory fetch complete, that means the first operand here, first operand is in the instruction is available in MDR. So I will make MDR out. So when I make MDR out, so all this is gone and so as soon as MDR is out, that MDR content, what is that? That is the first operand. It will be available on the whole bus, internal bus, right? MDR out. So now whole MDR out, whole bus available adaga, that MDR out, that is the first operand is also available at B directly, correct? No, we don't have to store it in some temporary register like Y, because Y is already used for second operand R1. So first operand is the MDR. When I place that MDR on the bus, it is directly available on the B part of the ALU. So that's why ALU B input, another input for the ALU, that is B part, do not have a switch. So it directly available on the B. So now B has content from the R3, no, memory content, that is first operand. So Y has second operand R1. What I have to do? I will select Y. Right? Using select Y, I will make R1 appear at A input of the ALU. So of course at B input MDR content is there, that is nothing but another operand. I will give add instruction. I will instruct the ALU, say add it. So instruction adds A and B and I will make Z in, right? Result should be stored in the Z here. Now Z has result, right? What result? Addition of these two. Okay, here see the instruction over top. So addition of these two is stored in Z in now. Okay. So I will erase all these things. Okay. So here Z in has a value of addition. Where you have to store? We have to store back in R1 only because it is two operand instruction. Store the result in R1. How? Again make use of this bus. So that's why I have written in another step. So Z out, the result will be available in the whole bus and I will make R1 in here. R1 in, that data will go to R1 in here, right? And that is the end. So end is to indicate complete execution of the instruction is done. Is end. So this is how a complete instruction is executed. Now let us see, I will again break out this so you can understand it. See, first three steps are common to every instruction, because every instruction has to be fetched and stored in IR, instruction register. It is common to any instruction. If they ask any instruction, you write down first three steps, same, common, you got the marks. Then remaining instruction, remaining steps depends on the instruction, whether you are making add operation, move operation, it is a register transfer. We have gone through different type of instruction from the beginning, right? We did ALU operation, we did register operation, we fetched a word from the memory, we stored a word from the memory. All those steps we know, so we will write it here. That's based on the instruction that has to be executed. And at the end we write E and end. So now to execute this instruction, in the performance equation, T is equal to NS by R, right? Performance equation. What is the S? S is 7. S takes add R3 contain, right? Add memory data R3, R1 instruction takes 7 steps. Complete execution bardi nodi, right? To fetch the instruction and to execute the instruction, totally it takes 7 steps. So S is 7. And what is the speciality of 7? These 7 steps, every step is executed through one clock cycle. Do you know that performance equation? If you don't know, go back and first module and understand what is S. S is the steps. How many steps are there in one instruction? For this instruction there are 7 steps. Okay, and it is designed such that every step will be completed in one clock cycle. Right? Okay, that's why we also consider a clock rate here to find out the performance. So this is how we execute a complete instruction. Right? Now there was a small issue that told why this Y in. I told this is for branch instruction. Here it is irrelevant, but it is for branch instruction. So let us see how branch instruction executes and why that Y in is done here, even though it is not useful. So execution of a branch instruction in single bus architecture. Fine. So before seeing any branch instruction, let's see how exactly branch instruction works here. Okay. So here we have taken branch instruction with offset. So offset, what is branch? Branch means actually whatever PC is pointing the next instruction, PC will be pointing to the next instruction. But branching makes us to jump to some other instruction, right, without executing the next instruction. So how to go to some other instruction? So PC will be there, PC will be pointing to a address, that is next instruction address. And how many bytes we have to execute, skip, how many bytes of memory we have to skip to go to the new instruction by the branch instruction, suggested by the branch instruction. So branch instruction itself will have a offset. Offset means a number n. That is nothing but number of bytes you have to skip to find the new end. Because see, this is, I have very clearly explained this in my earlier video about how branch instruction executes in second module or first module, first or second module, where I have given complete memory layout, what happens to the PC, how branch instruction executes. So please go through it, that video, and come back to this video. Branch instruction itself will have a offset, nothing but number of bytes to be skipped by PC register, so that it points to the some other instruction other than the next instruction to be executed. So what you have to do is, whatever once we fetch a instruction, that instruction is a branch instruction, we know. I don't know right now because we are fetching an instruction which is a branch instruction. So every time we fetch an instruction, we update PC plus 4 to the next instruction, and that PC will store it in Y in. And as soon as we come to know that the instruction we fetched is a branch instruction, then we will copy the offset from that branch instruction and we add to the Y in, right, from the ALU B point, because it has to be, addition has to be done by ALU. So if there is a branch instruction, we need a PC content to update PC to the new instruction. That's why we don't bring that PC back to the ALU again, because PC is right now calculated in ALU, right? PC is updated in ALU, PC plus 4. The new value we copy it in Y in also. If the instruction fetched is a branch instruction, already PC is there, we can quickly do it, right? We quickly perform this new instruction address, we can calculate. That's why we copy updated PC value not only to PC register but also we keep a copy in Y. Of course, if it is not a branch instruction, then it will get discarded and make utilized for some other instruction. We know, we seen in previous one. If it is add or any arithmetical instruction, then that will be utilized. Okay. So this is how we have do it. Okay. So please go through my previous videos in module 1 or module 2 where I have explained how branch executes. Okay. Let's see one instruction here. Branch instruction. So there is no, it's just a branch instruction. Okay. We have taken unconditional branch instruction. Otherwise, you have to check condition also, right? Whether something is greater or lesser using condition flag. To make it simple, just in a simple concept, if you want to understand how branch instruction executes, we have taken unconditional branch. There is no condition, simply directly whenever you fetch the instruction, we will come to know that that is a branch instruction and we will go to jump to particular PC address, I mean particular instruction. Okay. First 3 steps are same. Okay, as I explained in previous complete execution, first 3 steps are same, right? So after third step, when I copy actual instruction to the IR register, I will come to know that that instruction is a branch instruction, right? So what I have to do, whatever the new PC value is updated, see that's copy is in Y in, right? Whenever Z out is done, that PC plus 4 is copied to PC, also copied to Y in. So now Y in is nothing but new PC, that next instruction to be executed. But the current instruction we fetched, I come to know that it is a branch instruction. Okay. And where that instruction is there? That instruction is there in IR register. Okay. Branch instruction will have half set. Branch instruction will have half set. That I have to add PC, so that PC will point to the particular instruction. Okay. Instead of next instruction. So half set ellirutte, branch instruction is there in instruction register. Branch instruction will have half set to be added to the PC. So indirectly I am saying instruction register IR will have half set. You got it, I think? Okay. So once instruction is placed in instruction register, we come to know that there is a half set and it is a branch instruction. So part of the instruction half set field of IR is out. We don't let entire instruction register place on the bus. No. Because instruction register contains whole instruction, meaning of the instruction, operand types, everything. There are lot of information will be there. We need only half set part. So half set field of instruction register enide, only that is out and placed in the bus here. So bus now contains half set. That half set directly reaches B, right? Half set of the branch. We know we had let updated PC value be stored in the Y, correct? So that we have not shown the select operation, but here we will select Y. Okay, select Y. Okay, textbook it's okay. Select Y. So what is there in the Y? Y is as a PC updated PC value. So Y will be, that is PC will be here at A. So A is PC, B is the half set of the branch instruction. So now we will add PC plus 4. What happens? The result will be in Z in. I will make Z in enable. So I will allow the new PC value. Okay, that is not the address of the next instruction, but instead it will be the instruction where we have to jump through branch. That PC value is stored in the Z. Now I will make Z out. I will write it as another step 5 because I am making use of bus, right? So once I will make Z out, where you have to store, it is a new PC value, right? That is the next instruction to be executed now, not the actual next instruction. We have jumped to next other instruction. So that Z out, whatever is there, I will store it in PC. So Z out and directly store it in here, PC in. Okay, there is PC here, PC in and end. That's the branch instruction. No, PC is updated to the new instruction. So now what happens? Execute a new instruction. That is a separate execution of new instruction. So here this is end. Branch is done. So this is how branch is executed. So please go through my previous video where I have explained how branch executes. Okay, in first or second module is there. So then come to this video. Now let us see a separate concept. Till now we try to understand and we have written control sequences or various steps to execute an instruction, where there is a single bus connecting all the components of a processor, internal components of a processor, that is all the register, instruction register, decoder, ALU, so everything. Now that is not the only one way we have separate architecture for the processor sometimes, where we use multiple buses to connect internal components of processor. So what is the advantage of multiple buses is parallelly we can make use of different buses parallelly, right? So number of steps gets reduced, because how we write number of steps, whenever we whenever we want to make use of a bus, single bus, we will write it as the next step, because we have to wait for the single bus, right? Previously if somebody is using, we have to wait for him to complete that transaction to be completed. So new transaction is be done after completion of previous transaction. Here it is, we have multiple bus, so we can easily do it. We don't have to wait for a particular bus. Here there is a multiple bus inside the processor. But there is some disadvantage, that these are not multiple buses which are directly connected to all the components. That we'll see how multiple bus is organized in an architecture diagram. Before that, okay, this is architecture diagram exactly. I have copied it from the textbooks because I didn't find it a better one anywhere else. And even if you draw in PPT, it takes much space, becomes very messed up. So I will explain everything here. See, you can see bus A, then we have bus B. Bus is bidirectional. You see here there is arrow mark, as well as here there is arrow mark. Bus on either from top to bottom, bottom to top, data signal. You can send electric signal or indirectly there is a data. And here is a bus C, right? See, but you have to remember this, very very important. They will ask this explanation of single bus architecture or multiple bus architecture. But while writing the architecture, you have to remember it. In order to solve write control sequences of any instruction, you should remember architecture also. So let's see how it is connected. Very carefully you can see this bus in that arrow marks. See, there is an arrow marks here. These are not bidirectional. Got it, right? There is arrow marks on every bus. So how exactly I'll erase this. Yeah. Now see, bus A, on bus A, no component of the processor can read bus A. From bus A we cannot let in the data to a register or to any component, except here you can see this one, except to the ALU. Only ALU can allow bus A data to be inside it. No register can have, right, R1 in, R2 in, PC in, no, for A ge ilve illa. Did you get this? For A ge, bus A ge yavadaku input illa, only output. You see here there is a register file. Register file means all register, R0 to Rn. All register you can place on the bus A here, content, or instruction register content can be placed on the bus A, or MDR content can be placed on the bus A. That's it. Only 3 components are connected to bus A. That is also only output. Registers, instruction decoder, that is a kind of instruction register only, because instruction decoder reads instruction register and places data on the, that is why we require instruction decoder data to, if it is a branch instruction, we have to access part of the instruction register as offset. That is done by instruction decoder. Offset anna bus A mele place madutte. So bus A is only connected to register, all the registers, instruction register or indirectly instruction decoder or MDR. Only these register can place their data on the bus A. Only place data on the bus A, they cannot read. But ALU can here read bus A. Fine. Let us come to the bus B. You can see all other components are connected to bus B, right? But there is a speciality about registers and MDR. You can see here that register and MDR, all the registers, the general purpose register R0 to Rn and MDR, they can place data on bus A as well as bus B, right? Here you can see it. All the general purpose register R0 to Rn and MDR register can place data on both bus A or bus B as they wish, right? That's the one special thing. And bus B, PC can place data on the bus B here. Okay. So this is how it works. Bus B. Now let us see bus. So while looking at the bus C, we can see bus C is specially dedicated to copy data into every register. You can see the arrow mark direction. No component can place data on bus C except ALU, except ALU. But bus C is separately dedicated to transfer data from the ALU to all other components of the bus. So every component other than ALU can read data from bus C but cannot store. That means PC in, R1 in, MDR in, MAR in for bus C. There is no MAR out or PC out for bus C. Okay, that's the thing. So this is how you can see here. Now you might get a question here. How to transfer data from one component to another component. Okay, so there is no bridge here. Can you see there is no any bridge? That means, okay, let me tell you, I want to copy a PC content to MAR. Okay, PC content to MAR. Just look at the diagram. Can you copy that? PC, you can place PC content only on bus B. Okay, fine, I will keep it on bus B. But MAR is not connected to bus B. MAR cannot read bus B. Every component can read only bus C. Right? So there is only one path. Only one path. You take PC as an example. You take any register, any two components. How to transfer data is from PC you have to place it in bus B. So all over bus B it is available now. But only bus B can be read by only ALU. So let it go to ALU. Of course ALU have arithmetic and logical operations. What we can do is in this multiple bus purpose there is separate instruction is added to ALU. The instruction is called equal. That is R equal to B. This instruction means R equal to B means the B will be directly connected to R. From R it will go to bus C. Now it is available whole bus C. On the whole bus C, there I will make MAR in here. That's how it works. Did you get this? So this is how you have to do. There is a separate instruction given to the ALU called equal instruction. R equal to B means whatever the B data is there at the input of the B, the ALU transfer it to the output R. Or R equal to A kuda madbodu ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ R equal to A ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು data ಇದೆ that will directly go to the bus C. So very long way it has to follow. The only bridge you can see, the only connection or bridge between A, B bus and bus C. A ಮತ್ತೆ B ಗೂ ಮತ್ತೆ bus C ಗೂ middle direct connection ಏನಾದ್ರು ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದು only through ALU. If you understand this, everything is easy. Right? Okay, fine. Let us see one example. Only one example I will give. Okay, three buses. Multiple bus means always three buses: bus A, bus B, and bus C. And how to execute one instruction. The instruction is here. We have taken very complex instruction where there are three operands. Right? Three operands. But we can complete it within only 4 steps. Right? We can complete it within the 4 step. So let us see how the instruction will be in the memory. PC will be pointing to this instruction. Let us fetch this instruction and store it in IR. How to do this? Address is in PC. So PC out. PC out adre where PC will be connected? PC data will go. PC data will go to bus B. We know that PC can place data only on bus B, right? So PC out, then I will make ALU instruction R equal to B. So now what happens? The PC address is on bus B. Now R equal to B andre ಏನು ALU ಅಲ್ಲಿ whatever is there on the bus B will be transferred to bus C, right? Once it is transferred to bus C, I will make MAR in. Why? Input of MAR is actually connected to bus C. So whatever the address is there in the PC is now inside the MAR. So I will give read operation. So MAR, there is the address of the instruction. Now memory start fetching the instruction and try to store it in MDR. Okay. Then increment PC, we have shortened it. We know how to increment PC, right? We have seen in previous single bus complete instruction execution, right? We have to select 4, constant 4. PC will be already there in the Y. Then okay, yeah, then we have to add it. Sorry, yeah, we have PC will be there in the Y. We select Y. Then we add it, right? PC will be updated. we'll bring right, there's all those things, and store back PC value. So everything we have written, that is an independent process. No, whatever the PC is there, we select for, update it and store back in the PC. That all independent operation we have written in single. So whenever they ask any instruction to executed in single multiple bus ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದು ಕೇಳಲ್ಲ usually, they'll ask theory, explain multiple bus organization. Even if they ask any instruction, you don't write all this incrementation, directly write increment PC. Okay, only in multiple bus ಅಲ್ಲಿ, otherwise ತುಂಬಾ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ. But in single bus you have to write all those steps. So PC updation is done. No other work, we will wait for the memory fetch complete, because memory has to fetch the instruction. Once memory fetch complete, that means memory is has get the instruction from the memory and stored in the MDR. So now I will make MDR out B. What is MDR out B? Because MDR is the one register which can place data on bus A as well as it can place data on bus B also. Correct? No, it can place data on a bus A or it can also place data on bus B. So MDR out A or MDR out B, right? So I will randomly select, because bus A is not, bus A and bus B both are in not use now here. You have to use, there is no, they are not used, right? So I will directly use out B, MDR out B, and I will make R equal to B. So whatever the MDR data was there, that is nothing but an instruction, is placed on the bus B. Now that is through ALU, it is placed on the bus C. So now bus C has instruction that I will let inside the IR register, because the instruction should be stored in IR register. Now IR register has an instruction. So now processor comes to know that the instruction is this. Whatever the instruction we have fetched is this instruction. Add R4 R5 and store the result in R6. We are adding to R4 R5 and storing the result in R6. So now we got the instruction. What we have to do? We have to bring R4 to the ALU, the Y register. Then we have to out R5. That will directly write that those concepts, right? Yeah. So how to do this? Very simple. See, we will bring R4 out A. Guys, remember this, very important. R4 out A. We will place R4 register file, register content on A register, because register can place their data on A bus as well as B bus. So we will place it on A. Okay, R4 content will place it on A. R5 content, right? Second operand. R5 content we place it on B. Both buses are parallelly using, we are using, right? Correct? No? So bus A now will have R4 content, bus B now will have R5 content. Then I will select A, right? Because in select procedurally, A bus we have constant 4 also, but now here we are not updating PC, we are adding, so we will select A. So whatever the R4 content is there on the A, bus A will go to multiplex ALU, and whatever there is on the B, that is R5 content, it is already reached the multiplexer. We can see that using previous architecture. So now we will give add operation. So add operation takes input A and B and adds it and stores in R, right? It's come out of the ALU and directly reaches bus C. So now bus C has addition of R4 and R5. So I will let R6 in. So result will be directly stored in R6. This is the end of the multiple bus, right, and instruction execution. So here 4 steps. We can complete this entire instruction right from fetching, complete execution of an instruction, add R4, R5, store it in R6 in only 4 steps if there are multiple bus organization. So this is about single and multiple bus organization. In next video we will cover a few more topic of this module. Okay. So thank you.